Hello everyone and welcome back to another new album video. This is our third week doing this, so again, this year picking out albums that I have never heard before or I've only heard maybe one or two songs off of. Sometimes it'll be from completely new artists, sometimes it'll be from artists that I have a vague familiarity with. This week is one of those episodes. So this week we are doing Herbie Hancock's The Joni Letters, first released September 25th, 2007. So notable tracks off this album are Court and Spark, Both Sides Now, Solitude, and Amelia. So my kind of familiarity with Herbie Hancock goes back to, I want to say, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. So he was on, I think it was the Wild Style station. I could be wrong, but I think it was Wild Style. And it was his song Rocket from the early 1980s, where it's very much like very turntable focused, like almost like hip hop focused in a way. So yeah, Rocket was the kind of only song I knew from Herbie Hancock for a while. And that Rocket showed up in, I want to say, NBA Street Volume 2. I want to say there was like a remix version on, I think it was Amplitude for PlayStation 2. And then this is apparently his like 45th album. So the only album that I actually own from him is Future Shock, which is the one that has Rocket on it. And this album, I've known about it since, I want to say 2008, or that's where I first heard of it. Because it ended up winning the Album of the Year at the 2008 Grammys, and I think it was a surprise win for a lot of people. I think a lot of people were anticipating Back to Black by Amy Winehouse to win Album of the Year, but it ended up being this album by Herbie Hancock, River, the Joni Letters. And it's all essentially Joni Mitchell covers. Joni Mitchell appears on the album as well. I'm not super familiar with Joni Mitchell. I think the first time I've ever heard of Joni Mitchell, even like I think just hearing the name the Joni Letters on, because I remember watching the Grammys that year. We were at like a restaurant or a bar, and they just had them on, and it was mentioned then, and I wasn't really paying that much attention to like the awards, so I didn't hear anything about Joni Mitchell. And then I remember watching a movie a few years later called The Kids Are All Right, where Joni Mitchell, it's like Annette Bening and Julianne Moore, Mark Ruffalo's in it. It's a pretty good movie, but they definitely mentioned Joni Mitchell and a couple of her songs. I only owned one of her albums on vinyl. It was one that I basically took out of my parents' collection when they got rid of their record player. And it is Joni Mitchell's Blue. It's a pretty good album. I've only listened to it one time completely through. There is a song on this jazz album that is on that as well. So this album here, River, is essentially, like I said, a Joni Mitchell cover album. And one other thing we have for this video, since it's the first jazz video, and I think jazz and whiskey go well together, we have a little bit of Maker's Mark here. Pretty good whiskey, and we're gonna take a little sip of it. I just feel like whiskey goes very well with jazz. Kind of wish this was like in like a smoky like jazz lounge or something like that. A little bit of like ambiance, if you will. But Maker's Mark is very good. Very, I think, a pretty decent whiskey. But we have some notes here about the album, so we're going to go to that. Let's see. So yeah, so this is again Herbie Hancock's River of the Joni Letters. This is like I said, 45th studio album. Essentially, it's a Joni Mitchell cover album. Future Shock is the only album of his that I own, and it's like essentially it's a like electro funk kind of hip hop album. I say again, heard most of that song in Vice City. He had worked with Joni Mitchell on her album Mingus, which is I think is from 1979, and they've worked together kind of on and off like since then. There's a ton of different guest singers on this album, such as Nora Jones, Leonard Cohen, Tina Turner, Lucina Souza, and Joni Mitchell herself is on the album. Again, won the Album of the Year in the 2008 Grammy, so album was released in 2007, were up for those awards. I remember at the restaurant I was at, a lot of people were very surprised that this won, because it was kind of out of nowhere, I guess. It was, I think, a lot of people or it was much less mainstream than, let's say, like Back to Black was. Back to Black, I think, was favored to win, or at least a lot of people that I was at the restaurant with, just people in the bar area, were kind of anticipating that Amy Winehouse win, and they ended up going to the Herbie Hancock album. Let's see, best category. It also won that year for best contemporary jazz album. Apparently, Prince is on this album in an uncredited track. He's on the second track, which is Edith and the Kingpin, which has Tina Turner as a guest vocalist. So I remember doing some research on this, and not a lot of places listed it. I remember seeing it on Reddit and one other like Prince like forum or something, like a forum for Prince, saying that he is doing guitar on that track, and it's completely uncredited. So like, just looking at like the musical staff, like the band and all that, he's not credited anywhere. So yeah, obviously uncredited. But there is a 2017 reissue of this album, which has 4 bonus tracks. I listened to both versions of the album. They were both on Apple Music, but I listened to the original from 2007, and those bonus tracks, I think there were like a couple of exclusives from like different like places where you can get music. Like I think there was like some Amazon bonus tracks, but the other version, the 2017 version, compiles all those 4 additional bonus tracks and adds them in at the end of the album. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the track list here. So we have River. So normal version of the album has 10 tracks. The 2017 reissue has those 4 extra tracks. So 11. Basically, it's Amazon and iTunes exclusive tracks, and then for the 10th anniversary, they just condensed everything into one album. But first track is Court and Spark, which features Norah Jones. It's a very good track there. Again, I went into this album completely not super familiar with a lot of Joni Mitchell's work, and I think probably for this series, I'll probably jump into like a Joni Mitchell album at some point. It just won't be Blue, because that's the only one that I've heard. So part of the series is jumping into albums that I've never heard at all. So we're doing that. We'll probably be doing that at some point. Track 2 is Edith and the Kingpin, and it has Tina Turner as a guest vocalist. And that's the track where Prince is a kind of a guest guitarist, even though he's uncredited. Track 3 is Both Sides Now. That's just an instrumental, so like no vocals on that one. Track 4 is River, which features, Corinne Bailey Rae. That is, I think, the only song that I kind of knew from her, aside from California, because River is off Blue as well. That was track 4. So track 5 is Sweet Bird. It's pretty good, just instrumental jazz track there. Track 6 is Tea Leaf Prophecy, which features Joni Mitchell. So Joni Mitchell, that's a song of hers, so she's basically doing like a recover of it with Herbie Hancock, which is pretty good. Track 7 is Solitude. Track 8 is Amelia, which features Lucina, I'm probably not going to pronounce this correctly, Luciana maybe? Souza. So Amelia, like, didn't know the background of the song when I first like heard it, and then I'm hearing stuff about like aviators and stuff like that, and like kind of like allusions to flight, and then like I'm like, oh, is this about Amelia Earhart? In my research after I listened to it, it definitely is about Amelia Earhart, which is pretty cool. Track 9 is Nefertiti, and then track 10 is The Jungle Line, which features Leonard Cohen as a guest vocalist, and that's the end of the kind of first issue of the album, the first version. And then with the bonus tracks here, these are all, there's 2 Amazon exclusive tracks and 2 iTunes tracks. So if you buy the album off either of those stores, you've got 2 bonus tracks, but the 2017 remaster or reissue, that remaster, has all those tracks. So track 11 is A Case of You. Track 12 is All I Want, which features Sonia Kitchell. So that's how that name is pronounced. And then track 13 is Harlem in Havana. And track, let me see, it was 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that was track 13. Track 14 is I Had a King. So it says, like, basically, 10th anniversary of the album got all those extra tracks added on to it. Grab a little bit more of the Maker's Mark here. And overall, I really enjoyed this album. Like, I definitely want to jump into some other albums from Herbie Hancock now that I listen to this. I think for this series, I'm probably going to limit it to just one album per artist, though. So this it was a really good starting point, I think, for this series and for Herbie Hancock. So it's going to be fun, just kind of like visiting some of his, or yeah, visiting because I haven't revisited it yet. Visiting some more of his work. And probably visiting some of Joni Mitchell's work as well. Because like I said, the only album I've ever heard of hers is Blue, and she is just a very like iconic like singer songwriter. So I'm definitely sure there's going to be a lot of really good music in her like discography that I like haven't discovered yet, which I'm looking forward to doing. But yeah, this is just a very solid just entry into jazz. You've got some nice instrumentals on it. You have a lot of good like vocal jazz, like Nora Jones is on there. I really like Nora Jones as just like a singer. I'm not a huge fan of Tina Turner. I don't really like know a lot of her music aside from like What's Love Got to Do with It. I think her cover of Proud Mary, and she did the title track for Goldeneye when that came out. So my knowledge of Tina Turner is fairly limited, but I think Edith and the Kingpin is very good, and she does a very good job singing on that. So with this series, I might jump into some Tina Turner music as well. So I do like how one album can kind of branch you off into, several different directions, where now I'm considering looking at more of Herbie Hancock stuff, more of Joni Mitchell stuff, and potentially more of Tina Turner stuff. So just a cool way to discover potentially new music. Even though I've heard of all these singers before, I just am not super familiar with a lot of their work outside of maybe like a handful of songs. But I think that's going to do it for this video. We'll be back again in a week from now with a completely new album. Don't know what that's going to be just yet, but I'll pick something out and we'll have a breakdown video of it. Again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.